That's Seth, we're going live.
All right. Okay, everybody. How are you guys doing today? Hope you're doing super good today. I am excited. Today's Wednesday, and every Wednesday we go live on YouTube. Thank you for your grace last Wednesday. I know we had audio issues. We were able to fix those. And today I'm going to be bringing you some freaking ton of content on how to protect your Amazon product from hijackers and copycats. What do you do when people start latching onto your listing? Now, today, this is going to be very succinct because right after this, I'm running over and I'm doing a live video with Jungle Scout, who is actually here in Austin, which I'm very excited about. So I'm not going to be taking Q&A today, but if you have any questions after this training, feel free to either comment below, which I will respond to, or email me at this email address, seth@justonedime.com. In fact, I will place it right here in the chat, seth@justonedime.com. Great to see everybody. All right, we're just going to get started right now. Here we go. How to protect your Amazon product from hijackers and copycats. Now, tell me if this has ever happened to you. You build a differentiated product. You have logo designed, you have a unique brand name created for this product, and you launch on Amazon and you begin selling. And you're very happy, and understandably so. But then one day you suddenly notice that your sales slow down like crazy and you're wondering what in the world is going on. And you check your listing, and to your surprise and fear and trepidation, someone else is selling on the listing you built. And you feel sort of betrayed. You took the time, the money, the heart to put all this time into creating a listing in Amazon. How in the world could someone else be selling on the same listing? You just encountered, my friends, what is called the classic hijacker. This is very common for people who start a new store on Amazon, and I can explain to you how to address this and why it's so important that you understand it, especially if you're new to selling in Amazon. Let me give you an example. Here you have an Amazon listing. This really awesome Viking skull Valhalla warrior mug tankard is here selling in Amazon with 77 stars, 4.5, doing really well. But notice that there are 3 other sellers selling on the same listing. If you right now were to go to Amazon and search Pacific Giftware Viking Skull, you will find this listing right now. There are 3 other sellers selling in the listing. That means there's one listing, but you have a total of 4 sellers on that listing. Now the question is, what do we do when this happens? What does this mean? Are these 3 sellers illegal hijackers? Or are they legal resellers? In other words, also known as arbitrageurs. And I know that looks very French the way I spelled that, G-E-U-R-S, but that is the correct way to spell it, even though I really wanted to leave out the U because I have no idea why the U is important. So who are these 3 sellers selling on your listing? Now, if these 3 other sellers were to purchase this Viking mug at a retail online store like Walmart.com, or if they were to purchase it at a brick and mortar retail store like your local Walmart, and they are reselling it for a higher price on Amazon, this is called classic arbitrage, completely legal. Even if the mug is patented and trademarked, if the name of the mug is patented, if the structure of the mug is, if the name of the mug is trademarked, if the structure of the mug is patented, it is 100% legal. That's just typical resale. We even have an entire course on this, justonedime.com/arbitrage, where you buy and resell items. But if the original seller trademarked or patented their mug and this is an important and, you guys, the 3 sellers manufactured the same mug. In other words, they went to some factory, whether it's in China or America, it doesn't matter, and they had that mug built, then they are breaking the law. And that, my friends, is the difference between a piggybacker arbitrager. In other words, someone who's selling on a listing, they bought it at a retail store or online retail and reselling it, totally fine, even if it's patented, versus going out and manufacturing the same product, which is protected by law under a trademark and or patent. The second scenario is hijacking. The first scenario is arbitrage. The second scenario is illegal, and the first scenario is legal. So it's really important you understand the differences so you know exactly what to do when this happens to you and how to handle it. Now, here's the problem. What to you is hijacking your hard work looks to Amazon like fair and square arbitrage protected under the first sale doctrine. The first sale doctrine states, quote, those who resell genuine trademark products are generally not liable for trademark infringement, end quote. I could legally go right now to Target, drive to the store down the street, or I could go to target.com. I can buy a product, I can list it on Amazon, and I can sell it. Even if that product is patented or trademarked or copyrighted, it doesn't matter. That's legal. And I can sell it on someone else's listing that someone else created. In fact, that listing legally belongs to Amazon, not to the person who created it, even though the pictures and the word for word copy belong to you who wrote it or took the pictures. So this is where it gets confusing. However, if I were to go to a factory in China and have the same product produced, now this product has to be protected by law, either through trademark or patent, and then I ship it into Amazon and resell the same thing, calling it the same thing, that is what you would call a knockoff product. That is illegal. The problem is, how does Amazon know the difference? And that's why the key word here is resell. In the first scenario, I'm reselling a product that already hit retail. In the second scenario, I'm remanufacturing a product, making it look just like the original, and that is hijacking and illegal. But the problem is, how does Amazon know which is true? You see, your competitors may buy your product at a retail location and resell it all day, totally fine. You come out with this really cool Viking mug, you sell it, and they buy it from you and they resell it, they can do that. That's not illegal, and they can sell it on the same listing. But if they manufacture the product and your product is protected by copyright, trademark, or patent, which I will explain in a minute, they are breaking the law. But Amazon has no surefire way to tell the difference between arbitrage resale and illegal hijacking. And that, my friends, is why so many people get frustrated over this. And that's why I'm going to help you today. It is your responsibility to prove to them that if you are the rightful owner of your brand, no one else can sell on that listing. But you have to prove that. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I see a lot of questions here. Again, I want to repeat, guys, I'm not going to be taking questions today because I have a ton of content and a short amount of time. But I promise you this, what I cover is probably, I can't promise it, I hope, cover 90% of the questions you guys are asking. Next week, we can absolutely do live Q&A. So here we go. But if you do have a question, email me, seth@justonedime.com. I'll type it here again, seth@justonedime.com, and I will happily answer your question. Or just type it below on the video once the video is posted. Now, there are 3 main levels of protection you can have for your Amazon product. Number 1 is called built-in protection. Number 2 is called legal protection. And number 3 is brand protection. You got built-in, you got legal, and you got brand. I'm going to show you exactly how to apply all 3 of these. First of all, let's talk about built-in protection. This is where you make your product and your brand different, not just physically, but immaterially. And the reason I'm mentioning this one first is this is the easiest one to apply right now if you haven't sent your product into Amazon yet. In other words, we talk a lot about differentiating your product. Look, I have this product. Let me just grab one. Okay, so I have this bell right here. I got this product. My bell is going to ring better than any other bell. It's going to be more gold. It's going to have a more comfortable handle. You make all these things great. Okay, fine. But what's to keep someone else from going and finding the same manufacturer, producing it and selling it on your listing? And Amazon thinks they bought it at a retail store or an online retail store, and they think it's arbitrage, but you know they're cheating you. They're just copying your hard work. The bell rang. Here is where you can differentiate yourself, not just physically, but immaterially. Now, let me explain. For example, if you have a warranty, if you have a service contract, if you have a recall, I'm not kidding you guys, a recall. You know what I'm talking about? You're driving your car, you get home, you get the mail that says, oh, by the way, we're doing a recall on that belt under the whatever because of da-da-da-da-da. Oh my goodness, I need to get a new belt and I get it for free. You can do this with your products. A surprise gift. We teach a lot of this in our membership. Phone, email support. Yes, you can do it and you can make it scalable so it doesn't kill you. Quality control, even exclusive labeling on your listing. All these things will make your brand exclusive because no one can legally copy these perks you have built into your brand. In other words, if you're selling this and there's a warranty attached to it and someone else latches onto the listing to sell the same thing, they can't claim a warranty because you are the owner. Therefore, you have legal grounds to have them removed from your listing. Let me just give you an example of this. Speaking of built-in protection, the warranty. The warranty needs to make sense based on the product type. So you would not offer a lifetime warranty on a plastic spoon unless you're being funny. And I'm sure there's some people out there who do that, and it's hilarious. But you might offer one on luggage or a barbecue grill. Because you are the owner of the brand selling your product, no hijacker can legitimately claim to offer the same warranty since they are not you, the company. They are posing as a reseller, and no reseller has the power to offer a warranty on a product that they did not manufacture. Now, some people ask me about this, like, wait a minute, Seth, why can't they just say I'm adding a warranty? Let me explain. Because they are supposed to be having bought that product from, let's say, a Walmart store down the street, how can they offer a warranty on a product where they're at the mercy of the retail store when and when not they provide that product? If you manufacture the product, you have the power to remanufacture another one as a warranty backup and follow through. But if you're at the mercy of a retailer, you can't do that. This is very legal and it's very effective. You just add the warranty to the description section of your listing. You also include it on your e-commerce website if you want. You don't have to. Consider adding an insert card if you really want to do this the right way with your product. And on that card, there's a link where the customer can register their warranty. When they click on the link, not only does this further legitimize your brand, but it allows you to collect their name and their email for further marketing. And that can help you build a strong and loyal following, which is exactly how you build a brand that someday you can turn around and sell for millions. I don't say that word lightly, someday if you want. This is one of about 11 examples we give to our members, justonedime.com/freedom, on how to put built-in value to your product to protect it from hijackers. But I want to move on. We talked about built-in protection. You get the idea. Now let's talk about legal protection. Now, legal is really, really interesting. There are three main kinds of legal protection. You have copyrights, you have trademarks, and you have patents. Copyrights, trademarks, and patents, okay? These are the three things you can get for your product to protect it from hijackers and persuade Amazon to remove those hijackers and sometimes suspend the heck out of those hijackers, which feels really good. First of all, let's talk about a copyright. A copyright protects an original creative work such as listing copy and photos. So as soon as you create your listing, your photos, and your word for word copy, not just a keyword. I mean, if someone's selling a bell and you're selling a bell, you can't say, hey, that's my name, Bell. I got the ringing bell. You can know. I'm talking about the actual word for word copy, the entire sentence, the bullet point, the paragraph. That copy is protected by United States copyright law, even without you registering for a copyright. Now, if you choose to go register with the United States Copyright Office, which is not very expensive or extensive, it's not difficult to do, that gives you further support because now when you want to remove a hijacker from your listing, you're going to submit that number, that registration number, to prove to Amazon that you have the copyrights to this. But just keep in mind, if I sat down and I write a book, which I'm working on several, they're automatically copyrighted without me doing anything. Patents don't work the same way. Trademarks don't work the same way. They're just default copyrighted. If another seller decides to use your photographs, have you had this happen before, or word for word copy, you do what's called an infringement form on Amazon to have them removed. Now, this is where people get confused. If I create this listing for a bell and you go out and create a listing for a bell and use the same photos that I used, I can come after you and get your listing suppressed very easily. But if you are selling on my listing that offers this bell, you're not infringing on my copyright. Why? Because you're on the same listing. You're just saying, I'm another seller of the same product. And now Amazon needs proof that you actually were manufacturing this bell, which is protected by trademark and patent, not just buying it at a retail store or online retail store and reselling it. Do you see the difference? Now let's talk about trademarks. A trademark protects your brand name, your slogan, or your logo. And by the way, guys, from copyright to trademark to patent, each one is harder to gain and more expensive, but offers much greater protection. So the patent is the hardest to get, most expensive, takes most time, but it offers you the strongest protection. And the copyright, least expensive, the easiest, the least protection, as a general rule of thumb. An example of a brand name that you can trademark would be McDonald's. I mean, you can't trademark this one, although, Ray Kroc will come from the grave and come get you, but he'll come to your house. You get what I'm saying? That's an example of a name that you might trademark. An example of a slogan would be, I'm loving it. An example of a logo would be McDonald's big yellow M. All of these are trademarked by McDonald's. Now, here's an example. Look at McDonald's trademarked logo. In fact, what's really cool about this, it's very smart. Notice how the logo has the name in the logo. They're together. So they're kind of killing two birds with one stone. They did trademark the actual word McDonald's as well, but this is kind of a sneaky way to do it. Now, when you are selling on Amazon, the most important thing that you trademark is not your logo and not your slogan, but your brand name. That's the one that Amazon will accept if you want to get brand registered, which gives you more seller tools, and I'll talk about that in a second. After your trademark is approved, you're going to apply for Amazon's brand registry. Now, the advantages of having the brand registry are simple. Number one, it's easier to ward off hijackers because now you can say, look, I protected my brand name. I have the trademark, and let me submit to you the registration number for this trademark. It is harder for copycats to compete with you, and you have the option to feature a video of your product when you are brand registered. And also, you get superior selling tools in Seller Central, specifically ones that are geared towards brands. It gives you a lot more power to sell more. Now, trademarks take time, 8 to 12 months typically. You can do it on your own or through a lawyer. We teach all of this in our membership. We have like 6 videos on how to do it. But the main thing you need to know here is as soon as you can, apply for a trademark no matter what you do, because you have nothing to lose and you have everything to gain. And if you don't have enough money for it, start selling first, then later apply for it. You don't have to have all your money ready at the beginning. This is something I actually kind of learned just by instinct when I first started doing it. I just was focused on making money. And then as I realized, oh, that would be good. Oh, that would be good. Then I began to pay for things to make the business stronger. Now let's talk about patents. We talked about copyrights. That's for like pictures, design, word for word copy, patterns on clothing can be copyrighted. We talked about trademarks. That would be logos, a slogan like I'm loving it, the logo, the big M of McDonald's, or even the name McDonald's. Now let's talk about patents. Now, a patent protects an invention such as Dropbox's network folder synchronization. That is an invention. There are there's actually 3 kinds of patents, but I'm not going to talk about the plant patent. There's 2 main ones. You have what's called a design patent that protects the appearance of your product and it lasts for 14 years. And then you have a utility patent that protects the function of the product and that lasts 20 years. Now, to get a patent in the US, all said and done, it's going to cost you between $5,000 and $6,000 if it's a utility patent, a little less if it's a design patent. Now, this may seem like a lot of money, but that money is spread out usually over a 2 to 4 year period because there's a lot of going back and forth the patent lawyer will do as they respond to the United States Patent and Trademark Office to give them the information they need to get you approved. But during the time when you're waiting for it to get approved, you're under what's called patent pending, and that does give you a certain amount of protection, as well as it intimidates would-be competitors who just don't even want to think about it. And you can claim we're under patent pending. Now, how do I know if I can patent my product? Because as you probably guessed, not all products are patentable. I cannot patent this shirt. I can copyright the design. I cannot patent it. First, if your product is unique enough to be patentable. Well, Seth, that doesn't really explain anything. Well, let me explain. The United States Patent and Trademark Office defines patentable subject matter as, quote, any new and useful process, machine, manufacture, or composition of matter. Seth, what did you just say? Let me put it this way. In other words, the invention must be novel or new. It can't just be common sense. It's got to actually be creative. And if it's creative enough, you can get it approved. Well, how do I know when I can patent my product? Well, when you have the prototype ready for your product, built and ready to go. In other words, you manufactured that product, it's ready to go, you know exactly the design, now you're going to apply for that patent. In other words, you're going to patent it after the product is designed, but before you tell the world. Now let's talk about brand protection. We talk about built-in protection like warranties, recalls, phone service, etc. We talked about legal protection like copyrights, trademarks, and patents. Now let's talk about brand protection. This is one that a lot of new Amazon sellers forget about. And a lot of established Amazon sellers and brand owners really treasure the most. And you'll soon see why. No one can be you. The more you are, the harder it is for others to be another you. And the same is true of your brand. As you build your unique brand, interweaving your story into the brand, people will grow to love it so much that they won't accept anything else and can tell at a glance if it's the real thing or a knockoff. In fact, your customers will become the greatest protectors of your brand. No longer the lawyer, no longer the court, no longer Amazon, because they only can protect you so much. Your customers become an army that protect, and they'll say, that's a knockoff, I don't want that. They're the ones that will raise the flag on the hijackers and the copycats. Now, this one takes the longest. It is the least tangible, but it is the most powerful. This is why if you were to say, Nike, we want to buy your brand, just the brand name alone has so much power today that it would be an almost incalculable amount of money. But if you were to go back to Nike when they first started, it was worth nothing. In fact, the name almost sounds silly if you think about it. If you haven't been preconditioned to understand that is the name of a very cool shoe that stands for let's do it, from the Greek word for victory, you wouldn't really value it so much. You see, a brand's value is based on the trust that people put into the brand. It has everything to do with the people, the populace, the buyers, the shoppers. They are the ones who end up being the protectors of your brand. And all of a sudden, they begin to fight for you instead of you struggling and hustling and trying to fight for it itself. Again, this takes the longest, but this is why it's so important. And this is why I so much prefer the name brand building over private label. Private label says, oh, I just stick a little logo on there, I'm good to go, look at mine. No, brand building means people love your product because they know your brand. And they will not know your brand until your brand tells a story. It doesn't have to be a story about you personally, but it needs to be your brand story. Think of Tom's shoes, the 1-for-1. Every time you buy a shoe, they're giving a pair of shoes to buy a shoe. Every time, I don't think you would ever buy a shoe, right? Unless you got 1 foot. Every time you buy a pair of shoes, they're donating a pair of shoes to people without shoes. That's a story hard to compete with. You may not even know who the owner is or his name. It doesn't matter. It's a story and people resonate with that. And therefore, when people are buying Tom's shoes, they're not just buying the fabric and the rubber. They're buying into the idea that they're giving back and something that they're proud to wear. And it has its own unique style and it has its own statement. See, that's an example of a brand versus, hey, I got a product at Amazon. It's better than yours. Okay. The day will come as you build your Amazon brand where people will start searching for your brand. I'll never forget the first time I discovered this about one of our brands, and you will love it. You'll be like, oh my goodness, people love my brand. Like I'm seeing it come up in Keyword Tool Dominator. People are searching for my brand, which means you can charge more than your competitors because they're buying your brand. Not just, well, this one has the best reviews, so I'll buy it based on that. How do I know how many of those reviews are actually legit? Get what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about. Now, here's what to do. I'm going to get super practical now. Now that you have all the basics, the groundwork, here's what to do if a hijacker latches onto your listing. Number one, you're going to send a cease and desist letter to the hijacker. I'm going to give you this letter. I'm going to edit the caption below this YouTube. It'll automatically post about 10, 15 minutes after we end here. And I'm going to give you a link where you click on it. You're going to enter in your name and email, and it's going to automatically send you this letter you can use. All you have to do is insert your brand name. Over 70% of all hijackers on my and our members' listings that I am aware of are removed just by sending this letter. It's a terrifying letter. It scares the you-know-what out of those hijackers, but it doesn't scare all of them. And that, my friends, is if we go up to level 2. Level 2 is you're going to buy the product from the hijacker. What? Seth, are you kidding me? I'm going to spend money and give them money to protect my product? Yeah, you're going to have to get over that part, my friends. You're building the business. It's going to cost a little bit if you want to make a lot. Most millionaires lost millions before they became millionaires or after they became millionaires and then became billionaires. So it's just part of the process, my friends. You buy the product from the hijacker. You're going to get out your handy dandy camera. You're going to take pictures of the product to prove it is a fake. And then you're going to fill out what's called the trademark infringement report and submit the evidence. Seth, where is that report? Google it. You'll find it. It's easy. In fact, if you're brand registered, you already have that built into your system, your Seller Central account on Amazon. If you're not, you have a different version. Remember, to be brand registered, you have to have an approved trademark. There was a day when that didn't have to happen. I had to go back with some of my brands and resubmit them because when I first submitted them, they weren't approved yet, but they let me in. Now I had to go back once they're approved and prove it again. That trademark infringement report is very effective. You are sending evidence that your hijacker is against you and they are not really resellers. Now, I know that's time consuming, but let me give you a third option. This is a really fun one. It's a little sneaky. It might be a little bit of a gray hat tactic. So Seth did not recommend this. He just said some people do it, okay? I just know somebody who does this one. Get someone else, not a family member, not someone who lives within your own IP address, okay? If you don't know what IP address is, Google it. You need to know this, okay? Not someone who's using the same Wi-Fi network or the same computer. Get a neighbor, get someone else. Give them 20 bucks, I don't care. Say, look, I'll pay you double. Buy the product from the hijacker. Wait until they've received it, and then have them fill out what is called an A to Z complaint to Amazon and tell them to do the following. Have them go to this part of their store, your orders, their buying account, your orders. Have them locate the order on the list and click on the option that says problem with order. You like where this is going? Select the option materially different from the list. This is not the same, my friends. This hijacker. Have them select request refund. The hijacker's gonna love you. Enter comments in the text box and just so happen to randomly use words like knockoff and counterfeit. Amazon loves those words. And then click submit product. Sit back, watch the magic. Amazon will be in contact with your hijacker very soon, and they'll have a fun and friendly conversation. And that hijacker will be required to send in commercial invoices to prove that they bought this from a legitimate manufacturer. And that means they are going to be up a river, and you, my friends, will win. Go blow it up, you guys. That's all I got today. I hope that you found this massively helpful. My name is Seth. Keep it real. If you have any questions, I'm sure you do, either comment below once the video is posted or email me. I'll share it again, Seth@justonedime.com. If you're wondering, Seth, can you give this to me step by step, all the details? Sure, I can. You guys who become members get all of this times 10. This is like a conglomeration of the big picture. You want all the steps. Go to justonedime.com/freedom and start building freedom for you and those you love. You guys have an awesome day. I will see you later. Goodbye.